You're listening to Mr. Save a Home, Becoming an Agenteur.
Good day, good people. My name is Navid Moosa, and I'm your host today and always for Mr. Save a Home, Becoming an Agenteur. First-time listeners, thank you. We appreciate that you want to come and listen to us here. We know there's a lot of information out there that you choose us. We appreciate that, and we respect your time, and trust me, I'll make it worth your time. Long-time listeners, welcome back. I love y'all for the commitment and for the follow-through of coming here each and every week, every Wednesday. So we get into it right away. We don't love fluff pieces and all that kind of stuff. So with the pandemic going on, still looming, and now that we have new leadership, well, at least I think we have new leadership coming in in January, there's a lot of talk and speculation of what's going to happen, and the moratorium being extended, and how do you do this with these tenants, and they don't have to pay, and that's not fair because these banks aren't giving breaks to the landlords, but the landlords have to give breaks to the tenants, and they can't evict them. And it's kind of a shift, an unfair shift of financial responsibility that has gone on. And depending who you are, right, you can say, well, you're a landlord, you're automatically rich, you have all this money. That's not, the tenant is there, and they're the ones who are getting, pinched in between. First of all, that's a lie. Okay. Just because landlords are landlords doesn't automatically mean they have money. These tenants, for the most part, are feeling a pinch. You're right. And I agree with that. But so are the landlords, because it's one thing to say, I can't kick you out because you're not paying rent, but please make sure, make some kind of an effort, because the bank's not saying, hey man, you don't got to pay. Mr. Landlord, don't worry about it. Since tenant's not paying you, you don't got to pay us. No, they're saying we need our money. We need it. We've loaned it to you. We didn't know this pandemic's going to happen. It's not our fault, right? And so in a way, the landlord gets a little bit pinched and squeezed here, because they're saying, well, Mr. Bank, I can't pay you the money because the tenant's not paying me. That's not my problem. But then the landlord's a big bad wolf. If the landlord goes to the tenant and say, you got to pay me. Well, I can't pay you because I have to put food on the table. Well, that's not my problem that you got to put food on the table. I didn't cause the pandemic. You got to pay me. Very inconsiderate, right? Rightfully so. Everybody's in a bad spot right now. A lot of people are in a bad spot, especially with this whole real estate items of landlords can't evict the tenants, and the tenants, most of them are lost their jobs, and they have to make a decision: pay rent, put food on the table, or this time of year have the heat on. I mean, it's a hard choice for all of us to make. So how do you make these choices? How do you, in good faith, as a landlord, as someone who provides housing for somebody, okay, at a price, don't give it to them, how do you sustain that? How do you deal with that? The answer is easy, believe it or not. It's communication. That's all it is. In my course that I launched not that long ago, Becoming an Agenteur, the basics, it's at navidmoosa.com. I talk about setting the tone. I talk about when you get a tenant into your building, you want to set a tone that you're not going to chase your money, right? And now I know you're like, no, that's inconsiderate, man. I'm talking about chasing money. These people, you're right. But let's push the pandemic aside. Let's push all the BS that's been going on for the past 9 months, mind you. Okay, past 9 months, 9+ months, depending when this episode gets aired. It is a very delicate situation at this time. But if you push the pandemic aside, and if you're someone who has been renting for 3 years, and if you're someone who has been a landlord for 3 years, you got into this business as a landlord, and you got into being a tenant way before the pandemic was even a thought. So and I say that because to say what I'm saying now sounds heartless, but the message and the tone you want to set when you get a tenant into your building is one that should be set, pandemic or not, economic crisis or not. It's a tone that should have been set from the time that the tenant filled the application out and said, I want to rent your place. And if you didn't set that tone, that's your own damn fault, not the tenant's fault. And if you let the tenant run all over you and control you, and like, oh, I'm going to be late this month. Hey, not a problem. Oh, I'm going to be late next month. Don't worry about the late fee. I got you next month, the late fee. It's okay, or whatever. If you let that landlord-tenant relationship become a friendship instead, that's your own fault. And it sounds cruel, but it's true. Where if you set that tone from the door, and now in a time like this, when you go to your tenant and you say, hey, listen, I haven't gotten the pay yet. So, what's going on? Well, Mr. Landlord, Mr. Landlord, I lost my job. So I applied for unemployment, and I'm waiting to hear back what's going on. But can you work with me? Hey, not a problem. Yeah, I will work with you. So tell you what, why don't you come with the plan, and I'll give you like a couple of days, like 2-3 days. Is that going to work for you? That should be fine. Give me the end of the week. End of the week comes, they don't call you. You call them. They say, hey, it's the end of the week. It got away from me. Listen, I'm not trying to, I'm working with you here. You've been here for such a long time. You've been a good tenant. You're falling on some hard times. I want to work with you. I gave you 3 days. You agreed to these amount of days. It's all about the communication, right? That's all it is. I'm not saying that every single person you talk to is going to agree to 3 days or end of the week or whatever, but it's all about communication. You need to at least set the precedence that you are willing to work with these people are in a bad situation. Most of them are. And there's some that are not. They're just taking straight advantage of it. People want to stray away from that topic. They automatically want to blame and put the property managers and the landlords as someone who are bottom feeders or someone who are just, don't care and you're just all about the money and stuff like that. They got into the business to make money. Let that be very clear, okay? Understand that. However, they didn't get into this business, at least I hope not, to be slumlords. And if you did, and you're having issues with your tenants, you deserve that shit. Simple as that. If you're a slumlord, you deserve to have your tenant basically get around and work the system to not pay you your rent, because you shouldn't be a slumlord to begin with. That's a different topic for a different day. What we're talking about here are the good landlords, the ones that do the repairs that are needed, the ones that don't just, this is a city property. Here's what it's only worth. And you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of you guys out there, I hear it. It's a city property. Here's what it's worth. Just put this in there. You're the ones who are probably having issues collecting rent because that was your mentality. I want to talk to and address the people who are good landlords, who have solid tenants, who work hard day in and day out to provide for their families and legit have a problem and were laid off or got their hours cut. As landlords, you should talk and communicate. And if you're a tenant listening to this, and you're one of these tenants who are thinking, man, I don't know what to do. My job just told me now. I could be one of the people getting laid off by the end of December, or the New Year's come, whatever. I don't know what to do. Talk to your landlord. If you are somebody who has had a good payment history and has paid on time and not been a problem tenant where you have all these issue after issue after issue, call your landlord and talk to them. Talk to the property manager group and say, listen, the writing's on the wall. I could be losing my job in the next few months here. I don't know. What are my options? And ask them and talk to them. This is not legal advice. This is not financial advice, just to put it out there. I'm just simply telling you, me, someone who is a landlord, I have tenants who have not been paying. It's all about communication. I've told them, hey, what's going on? They said, well, I've lost my job or I'm applying for unemployment. Okay, be in communication. Just let me know. And so I've done stuff like, maybe waive a late fee or say, okay, well, you know what? I'll do this. I've talked to the bank that I have loans with and said, look, here's where I'm at. What can we do? And it's all about communication. And that's why you don't spend every single dime that you get when you make these investments. You put some away for a rainy day. This is a rainy year. Let's be honest. This is a freaking rainy year. So I'm hoping for those who got into investing, you were smart and you didn't spend everything, that you put aside a good cushion. In my course, I talk about at navidmoosa.com, I talk about, when you get some of these profits, what to do with them. It's not just spending it all. It's putting stuff away for, stuff like this and taxes and so on and so forth. But you want to make sure that the communication that you have with your tenants and with your property managers and with everyone involved in your day-to-day operation to make your real estate investment life keep going, you want to make sure your communication. These are, and it sounds like it's a cliche, it's unprecedented times, but these are unprecedented times for most of us. I'm 45 years old. I didn't live through a Great Depression. I wasn't involved in that very first one. We've had some recessions, but not a Great Depression, not since I've been alive. So for me, I've never seen anything like this. So I'm navigating the best I can. And to be honest, it's not that I'm finding it easy. It's not as hard as I'm hearing it is. But when I talk to more and more people, the common denominator is communication and respect, of course, but communication is that common denominator. No one's having it. Everyone's making assumptions that everyone is out to screw each other over. My tenants suck. They just don't want to pay me. I know they have money, stuff, but they just want to tell me about it. My landlord is a slumlord and he don't need this money because he's rich already, stuff like that. Both you guys are wrong. Both you guys are wrong. If that's your mentality, that's your attitude, when everything gets lifted, and it will, both parties are going to suffer. Nothing good's going to come from that kind of mentality. I'll tell you that right now. Never have and never will. Communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I can't say that word enough. I can't stress the importance of communication in a landlord-tenant relationship. It's not a us against them or them against us. It is a legit relationship that can benefit everybody if you just talk to each other. Just communicate. That's what I got for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed it. First time listeners, I hope you got what you came for. And if not, please give me a second chance. Long time listeners, thank you. I appreciate you guys always. And as each and every week goes in and goes out, I say the same thing. Never chase the cash, always chase the deal, do right by the client, and everything else will fall into place. And that also includes do right by your tenants and do right by your landlords, and everything else will fall into place. Take care, people.